Welcome back once again to your chemistry online class. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, all my dear students of class 8. I had started with atomic structure, and in the last lecture I had told you how an atom is considered to be electrically neutral after the discovery of protons and electrons, and I had discussed J.J. Thomson's model of the atom and had started with the Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment. That was the experiment for the discovery of nucleus. Let's quickly revise what we had covered in the last session. I had told you that no two atoms of elements contain the same number of protons. That is, the number of proton is different in different elements, and no two elements contain the same number of protons. For example, I had told you the example of hydrogen, helium, carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, and how the number of protons are equal to the number of electrons. That is, for hydrogen, I told you it contains one electron, and similarly one proton. Similarly, for nitrogen it is 7 protons and 7 electrons, and be it helium, carbon or oxygen, it will be the same thing. That is, the number of protons will always equal the number of electrons. That is, the amount of positive charge, that is, the total positive charge will always equal to the total negative charge, because the number of protons are positively charged particles present in an atom, and electrons are the negatively charged particles. That the number of protons and electrons being equal, that is, the total negative charge balances the total positive charge. As a result, an atom is considered to be electrically neutral. Now, this was discovered by then, and then there were later models by J.J. Thomson and Rutherford, and lastly by Niels Bohr, to explain the arrangement of protons and electron in an atom. So let's discuss let's quickly recapitulate the J.J. Thomson model of the atom. And according to him, the atom is a sphere or ball of positive charge with negatively charged electrons embedded in it. Right, you can see the positive and the negative charge, and it is that is, the total positive charge is equal to the total negative charge, and that is what is explaining that how the atom is electrically neutral, and this was very well explained by J.J. Thomson. And the mass of an atom at that time, according to J.J. Thomson, is considered to be uniformly distributed. And J.J. Thomson compared the atom with the Christmas pudding, in which the dry fruits represent the electrons and the whole pudding as positively charged atom. That is why this was also known as the plum pudding model. So he also compared it to the watermelon, as I had shown in the last session, and the red edible part represents the positive charge, in which the electrons are embedded just like the seeds. So this experiment could not give any experimental support in favor of his model. There was no experiments conducted to explain or to support this particular theory, what is the arrangement of the protons and electron in an atom. So this model was not accepted, and the point that the atom is considered to be electrically neutral was widely acceptable, and this was the most valuable contribution of J.J. Thomson. After this model came the Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment, which was there to prove, or which led to the discovery of the nucleus. So this was the setup of the Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment, and he conducted this experiment in order to find the arrangement of the electrons and protons on in an atom. But this experiment led to the discovery of the nucleus. So what is it that Rutherford, what was the setup? You can see the setup here. that is, he took an alpha particle emitter, that is a radioactive element which emitted the alpha particles, and a thin gold foil, a very thin gold foil of around 0.0004 centimeter, and then this was kept in a box and a slit was made in it, and the particles, that is the alpha particles, got scattered and were allowed to strike on a circular zinc sulfide coated screen. Is it clear? Then what did he observe? He observed a flash of light on the screen where alpha particles struck. And what were the observations and the conclusion based on the respective observation we will discuss today. So let's continue with the Rutherford's experiment. These alpha particles are what? The helium atoms, and you can see the alpha particles being emitted by radium, and it was compared to the Thomson's atomic model, that how the negative charge embedded in the positively charged. Then he observed small deflections, and most of the alpha particle passed straight through the gold foil without any deflection from the original path, and then a few alpha particles were deflected at small angle and a few at large angles, and very few alpha particles completely rebound on hitting the gold foil. So there were three types of observation, that is largely deflected alpha particles, then slightly deflected, and some of them passed straight. So what observations did he make? The conclusion that he drew out from this, that the observation 1, that most of the alpha particle passed straight through the gold foil without any deflection from the original path. He concluded that there is a lot of empty space in the atom. Observation number 2, that is a few alpha particles were deflected at small angles and a few at large angles. So there is a small positively charged object present at the center of the atom, and it repels the positively charged alpha particles and deflects from the original. So you can see that there were three types of observation, that is the alpha particles pass straight arrows that are there without any deflection from the original path, and you can see most of them passing straight, and other ones, that is a few alpha particles were deflected at small angle. You can see a small deflection. Deflection means that they get deviated from their straight path, they bend somewhere or they change their path, they get deflected, or you can see a few of them are largely deflected. And the third observation, that very few alpha particles completely rebound on hitting the gold foil. Is that clear? So rebounding means going back from where they had come back, turned back. You can see these three types of observation were made, and according to this, what did he deduce from this, or what were the conclusions that were drawn out? So based on that, almost all went through the gold foil and were not deflected. So this after observing this, he concluded that atom is mostly empty space, right? And second one, that is few not many bounce directly back. This proved, or from this he concluded, that the atom's dense core has a dense core, that is dense center inside, which must be small, very small, and it must be positive. And the third observation, that is several or some passed through the gold foil and were deflected, small or large deflection accordingly. So he concluded that there is a positively charged object present at the center of the atom. It repels the positively charged alpha particles and deflects them from the original path. So the small positively charged object present within the atom was called nucleus. So this led to the discovery of the nucleus. So this experiment was based on alpha particles. What are alpha particles? These are positively charged helium nuclei, and they are emitted by radioactive elements like radium, and they have 2 units of positive charge and 4 units of mass. So I will discuss this once again. So I have told you the 3 observations, that is, most of the alpha particles pass straight through the gold foil without any deflection from the original path. They pass absolutely straight from the source or through the slit and striking the screen, fluorescent screen. So on this basis he concluded that there is a lot of empty space in an atom. Observation number 2, that is, a few alpha particles were deflected at small angles and few at large angles. You can see the small angles and at large angles. So he concluded that there is a small positively charged object present at the center of the atom, and which repels the positively charged alpha particle and deflect them from their original path. So they change their path. You can see over here that the path being bent, that it is not the particles are not traveling straight, but they bend from the original path, it is the straight path. So the small positively charged object present within the atom was called nucleus. So the nucleus was discovered. And the third observation was that very few alpha particles, out of all these you can see only one is there. So there must be many, but out of them a very few particles completely rebound, that is, they come back or they return back to the same path on hitting the gold foils. You can see the back arrow over here. So this proves that the nucleus is very small in size, it is dense and hard. It is located at the center of the atom. So this was the conclusion based on the Rutherford alpha scattering experiment. Now what, after all these observation and conclusion, Rutherford gave a nuclear model of the atom on the basis of alpha particle scattering experiment. So what were the main characteristic of this model? So the Rutherford's model of an atom, that is the first point, that is, atom consists of a positively charged dense and very small nucleus, and the nucleus is present at the center and contains all the protons, and almost the entire mass of an atom is concentrated in the nucleus, and the size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of the atom. Number 3, that the nucleus is surrounded by negatively charged electrons. Electrons revolve around the nucleus at a very high speed in circular paths, which are called the orbits, right? Number 4, that atom is electrically neutral because the number of electrons present in an atom is always equal to the number of protons. And the last point, that is, there is a lot of empty space in the atom. So these were the points of the Rutherford's model of an atom, that an atom is consists of a positively charged dense and very small nucleus. Nucleus is present at the center. Nucleus, you can see the blue circle which is present, light blue circle which is present at the center, and it contains all the protons. You can see them in the form of positive circles, dark blue color positive circles, and almost the entire mass of an atom is concentrated in the nucleus. The size of the nucleus is very small as compared to the size of an atom. You can compare the size. And what is the nucleus surrounded by? It is surrounded by the pathways or orbits in which the negatively charged electrons, which you can see in the form of red E with a negative sign, and these electrons revolve around the nucleus at a very high speed, and as a result of this you can see there are 4 electrons, one here, second, third and fourth, and you can see the 4 proton, that is the positive charge inside the nucleus, are equal. That is why the atom is considered to be electrically neutral, because the number of electrons are equal to the number of protons, and there is a lot of empty space in the atom. You can, rest of the space that you can see apart from the nucleus and the orbits, you can see there's a lot of empty space. So this was the Rutherford's model of an atom, but this Rutherford's model could not explain the stability of the atom, and This led to the failure of this model also. Now you can see this, that the according to Rutherford, the electrons revolve around the nucleus. You can see that the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, but the theory of Maxwell states that when a charged particle revolves around an oppositely charged body, that means the nucleus is positively charged and the electrons are negatively charged, and what happens, that it loses energy. When a charged particle revolves around an oppositely charged body, it loses energy. That means the electron should lose energy. And when this theory is applied to the Rutherford's model, what will happen? That electrons will continuously keep on revolving around the nucleus and they will keep on losing the energy. So what will happen? With the decrease in the energy of electron, the speed will also decrease, and thus the electron will come closer to the nucleus. You can see this arrow, the electron has come closer to the nucleus. Ultimately what will happen? A time will come when the electrons will fall in the nucleus, and when the electrons will fall in the nucleus, what will happen? The atom as a whole will collapse. So I shall repeat it once again, that the electrons revolve around the nucleus, right? And according to Maxwell, that when a charged particle revolves around an oppositely charged body, which in this case is nucleus, which is containing the protons which are positively charged, what will happen? It will lose energy. Applying this theory to the Rutherford's model, electrons while revolving around the nucleus will continuously do what? Lose energy. With the decrease in the energy of electrons, the speed will also decrease. Thus the electron will come closer to the nucleus. A time will come ultimately that the electrons will fall in the nucleus and the atom as a whole will collapse. It will disappear. There will be no existence of that particular atom. So in 1932, after the discovery of neutron, Rutherford's model of atom was revised again. So what were the points which were added to it and what was omitted? We will discuss in the next lecture, inshallah. Revise the chapter. Allah Hafiz.